Hi there PGCAP. If you are a new student, welcome to the programme. If you're a returning student, then welcome back. My name is Callum Thompson. I'm an academic developer for learning technologies here at the University of Salford, and I'm also the module leader for the flexible distance and online learning module. This short video guide has been put together to explain some of the basic activities you need to carry out in WordPress, and that includes both setup and ongoing posting to WordPress as well. So over the next 10 chapters, we'll cover everything that you need to know to both get set up at the beginning of the program and to keep on updating your WordPress blog throughout the program. If you have any problems with this guide, or if you have any problems generally with WordPress, then do contact your module leader, or you can contact me directly. It's Callum Thompson, and I'm c.j.m.thompson, that's Thompson without a P, at salford.ac.uk. Now, we've split this guide up into 10 chapters. As I mentioned, this covers both initial setup of your blog and also covers some of the ongoing activity that you'll want to carry out throughout the whole of the PGCAP. So if we look at this list of contents here, the first 6 chapters, creating a WordPress account, navigating WordPress, managing access and security, setting up categories, creating a menu and setting a theme. These are things that you'll do when you first set up your blog. And I would recommend working through these in a chronological order, simply because we initially need to set up our blog, obviously, and work out how to navigate, but also when it comes to setting up categories and menus and themes, working through these activities in this order will make a lot more sense when it comes to the final product of your blog. So basically we need to be able to set up a category to include it in a menu, and then we need to have our menu set up to include within a theme. Okay, I cover that in more detail in the chapters, obviously. The final 4 chapters are a lot more to do with your ongoing posting. So if you have a break between 2 modules on the program, or if you simply want to go back and work out how to do something when you're creating pages or posts, then these last 4 chapters will be the ones you want to skip forward to. Now, for your convenience, we've produced this guide in a number of different formats. We've produced it using Office Mix, which is a new piece of software that we're trialing at the university at the moment. But we've also produced this as streaming video on YouTube and through Blackboard. And we've also created a video which you can download as well, so you can watch on your iPad or on your phone or a mobile device that perhaps doesn't support these other platforms or isn't online. Now, when you're working through the guide, each of the chapters has a video which is approximately 5 to 8 minutes long, and while that video is playing, the title of the video, which matches with this chapter, with each chapter title, is visible at the top of this screen. What that means is that if you want to skip straight forward to, for example, chapter 7, then if you're watching it on a streaming video or on a video on your phone, then you'll be able to use what's called the scrubbing bar at the bottom, which is the timeline where you can grab the point and drag forward to skip forward in the video. You'll be able to pull forward until you can see on the screen the title of that chapter, and the chapter title is displayed throughout the video for that chapter. If you have decided to use Office Mix, which I will highlight isn't fully supported across all browsers at the moment and isn't available on mobile devices, but it is much easier to use because that will be broken down through the table of contents. Okay, so if you're watching this in Office Mix, and you can tell that because up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see it says Microsoft Office Mix. Down in the bottom left, there'll be a button that says Table of Contents, and if you click on this, it will display each of the chapters in a menu for you, and you can skip straight forward to these. Okay, so I hope you find this video easy to use, and again, if you have any problems with it, do feel free to contact me. Now, when it comes to setting up your new WordPress account and blog, we do this via the WordPress.com website. So you can do this either by typing WordPress.com into the URL address bar, or you can search for WordPress on Google. Now you'll see at the top here, it's popped up for me, WordPress.com. Just for clarity, I want to point out that there is another website, WordPress.org. Now, WordPress.org is where you can download the WordPress source code and do lots of advanced things with it and install it on your own servers. We don't want to do that at all. That's way beyond what we're looking to do with WordPress. So if you do end up on WordPress.org, you might be quite confused by what's there. WordPress.org looks a bit like this. If you are there, just look again, and we want to look for WordPress.com. So we've got .com at the end of the URL. Now if I click on WordPress.com, the page that you will find yourself at is this page here. Now it might change from time to time, ever so slightly, but generally what we will have is the option to create a new website or to create a new blog, and also to log in here as well once we set our account up. Now what I'm going to do just now is create a new blog. So when it comes to creating a new account, you want to create a new blog, and in here you then want to choose a site address. Okay, now this is the URL which you will share with your PGCAP module tutors and with your peers on the PGCAP as well. Now you probably want to give it something that's associated with your name or your subject area. However, it does need to be unique to you. So for example, if I just type in Callum, then you can see that someone already has callum.wordpress.com. So what I perhaps want to do is put in, maybe I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can be more creative than this. And once you've found something that is unique, you'll see that there's a little green tick pops up at the end there. So what my URL for my blog will be is callum1234556.wordpress.com. Now, once you've chosen your site address, you just want to stick in what you're going to use this for. I would recommend just using for a topic of professional interest, because we'll be speaking about our teaching practice on there. And then we want to click Create Your Site and Continue. Now that's confirming that our site address is up at the top here, callum1234556.wordpress.com. It then wants me to put in an email, so I'll just put in callum_gmt@yahoo.com. Now this is a personal email address that I'm putting in here, but that's quite simply because I've already used my professional address and my Salford address to set up a WordPress account of my own. So I would recommend using your own WordPress or your own Salford email address to set up this account. It means you'll be sent notifications and things should you choose to do so. So we have callum_gmt@yahoo.com. Now it's prompting me with a username here, which is based on my email address. Now it's saying that that's already taken up, probably because I have an account already. It might even be me. So I'm just going to add in a number at the end there, and we can see that we've got the green tick, which again shows us that this is available. So my username, which I'll use to log in, is now callumjmt83. Now the last thing I want to do is select a password, so I'm just going to do this right now. And that's saying that it adheres to the password conditions that are set by WordPress, so I can now just click Next Step. Now there are a few more steps that WordPress will take you through here. The first one is it will try and ask you if you want to buy any custom addresses. So these are URLs which you might want to buy. We are going to use a free version of the WordPress account, so we don't really need to pay any attention to these points, but this is if you wanted to buy something that didn't have the WordPress.com section of the address in there, you'd be able to purchase it. So I'm just going to click No Thanks down at the bottom here. It then takes us on to choose a theme. Now we will come back to look at themes within the WordPress guidance later in this package, so I'm going to skip past this point just now. But themes are essentially a design that we apply to our blog. So at the bottom here, I'm just going to click Next Step for now. And then it gives us the options of which plan we'd like to use. And as I was saying, we can pay for a hosted account which has all sorts of benefits to it, but for the purposes of the PGCAP, we can just select this free WordPress account here. So I'm going to click Select Free. Okay, and that tells me thanks for signing up to WordPress.com, and it also says that they've sent me a verification email, which I will need to click just to make my WordPress blog live. Now that just confirms that you are who you say you are, and you are using your own email address. So if you keep an eye out for this email to come through, and then there's an instruction there probably to click on a link which will then confirm that you've received that email. Okay. So the next thing we want to do with WordPress is to have a quick tour of the interface, because when you're first getting used to the WordPress interface and the various pages that there are, it can get a bit confusing at times. So I'll just run through some of the main menus and some of the main pages that you'll come across as you're working through your WordPress blog. So we're back at the page for WordPress.com, and I'm just going to click on Login, which is up in the top right hand corner here. And I'm going to log in with my general account. If you've watched the video just in the last slide, you'll see me sign up with a personal email account. I'm going to sign in with my proper email account now. So I'll just get logged in, and it takes me straight into this first page here where I've got some blogs that I'm signed up to following, just showing down here. However, I'm not particularly interested in that portion of this. The bits I'm interested in are across the top of this page here. So I'm going to start from the top right hand corner. We've got a little thing that looks like a bell, and you can see there's a little red dot there. This is a notifications list, so viewing posts which have been made, we can see that there are notifications down there, which will tell me other blogs which I'm following, peers which are there as well, which have posted, though I can see people that have commented on my blog as well. So that gives us some comments and some notifications from there. You'll see that the little red dot has disappeared now that I've viewed those. The next one along is there's a little bit that looks a bit like a chess pawn in a circle. Now this is my user page. So you can see I've got my Callum Thompson UOS username. That's, if you're studying the Flexible Distance and Online Learning module, by the way, that's who you want to add so that I can have a look at your blog during that. But in here we can add in our name, so I might want to put my first and last name, which will appear on the blogs. So I can add in Callum Thompson there. I'll click save for that. I can also go in and change some settings on there, so you can see if I have more than one site, I can view which I want to set as my primary site to post to. There's security settings there, which we're actually going to come back and have a look at in a later video on here and look at in more detail. There are some other security and access settings that we want to discuss. The next button, which is along on the right, is how to create a new post. So if I click on create a new post, that takes me directly through to a new post page. Okay. Now there is another way which we can view that, which I'll show you in just a minute. But if you come on and you're very comfortable with WordPress, you can go on and just quickly make a new post there, and that will post onto your main blog, which is showing up in the corner here. Now there's also a reader, which I'm not going to look at just now, but that will show you the blogs which you're following. The main bit that I'm interested in, however, is on the far left, which is my sites. So here I can view the different sites that I have. And this gives me some statistics on the sites which are available. Okay, so I can see that this is my site here, and I can see how many people have viewed this over the various weeks and months. You can see it's not particularly popular apart from when the Flexible Distance and Online Learning module runs. Now what we then have is our options to edit the site that we have at the top here. Now, if you look at this menu, there's a number of different options that we have. We have the option to view the site, which I'll click on in a second, or to administer the site from within the site, which again I'll look at in just a second. We also have options to publish blogs and pages and bits of media within there as well. Now, this menu does follow the same structure as another menu, which we'll see in just a second. However, I envisage that you will mostly use the other menu, which is going to be shown when we go through to this WP admin page. So if I click on WP admin, that takes me into a new page, and we have a new set of links down the side here. Okay, so this takes me through to my dashboard for my blog. Now this is where it can get a bit confusing, because essentially what we're doing is we're managing a number of pages here. So if I have more pages, I can switch between them and I can view various analytics. However, the dashboard that we have here is specific to our blog that we're going to use. So this is where you probably spend most of your time with your blog. And finally, from this My Sites, now this menu changes slightly. This is the menu which, if you recall, we had in this page down here. This menu appears from the My Sites list here instead. Okay, so if we want to get back into the page that we were in before, this one, we can simply click on the Stats option there. However, what we want to use are the administration for the blog, and also when we're done we want to view the site as well. Okay. Now I'm going to come back and look at various points on this menu in more detail in later videos in this learning package. However, for the time being, I'll just show you that if you click on View Site, then what that will take you to is your blog. Okay, so I've got a bit of a basic version of a PGCAP blog set up here with the different modules and information on there. Now that our blog is set up and we've had a little look around the interface of WordPress, one of the things that we probably want to do first of all is to manage the security settings and access to our blog. Now you may want to have this completely open online and allow anyone to view it. For various reasons, you may want to make this private and only share it with specific people on the PGCAP module. So what we'll do now is we'll look at some of these security settings and how we deal with them. Now the first thing we're going to do is look at managing the access generally to the WordPress blog. So the way I'm going to do that is go back into our general sites page. Now I can do that by hovering over the My Sites button and selecting Stats, or one of the buttons that takes us back into this main page we want to get to. Or I can simply click on the My Sites button and that takes me back into this general overview page. Now where we want to get our view or our visibility settings for this are, if we scroll down through this menu, we want to go into Settings. And under Settings we can see we've got General, Writing, Discussion, Analytics. We just want to stay on this General tab just now and scroll down and you'll see we've got Site Visibility. Now under Site Visibility, by default this is set to allow search engines to index this site, and that means that your site will be available via Google. So if someone Googles your name and PGCAP, it might be that that pops up in the search engine and they can have a look at that. Now you may want that to be there, and you may want to make your blog very visible online and engage people that aren't on the course into commenting. That's fine. However, if you don't want that to happen, there are two options you can have to break this down. Now, the first one is to discourage search engines from indexing this site. So this doesn't block access to your site, but what WordPress will do is they will request that your site doesn't appear in search engines. Okay, so you don't need to manage the access for people, but if people go in and Google for PGCAP blogs, then it probably won't appear. As it says under here, it's worth noting that this is up to the search engines and not WordPress to honour this request. So what will happen is that essentially WordPress will contact the likes of Google and Yahoo and say, don't show this in your search engines when people come in and search for it, but they have to action that in order for that to happen. The third option that we have is I would like my site to be private, visible only to users that I choose. Now if we select that, then it will be entirely private and people won't be able to view the site unless you give them access. Now I'm going to show you how to give people access regardless and how to request that they follow this in the next step. However, what this would mean is that you would need to send invites to people to allow them to view your blog. Okay, otherwise it would come up and it would just say this is a private blog and people wouldn't be able to view that. Okay, so that's how we set what's called the site visibility, how visible it is to the general public. The next point that we want to look at is how we allow various users to view our site. So if I click on users, this will take me out into my specific blog again. And you can see that underneath my users for this blog, I only have one person, which is me, and I'm in there as an administrator. Now you can add further people in with various roles in there. Now if I click on invite new up by users, this gives me the option to select people who can view my blog. So it might be that I want to add in my other email account. And then I can select whether I want them to be a contributor, an author, an editor, or an administrator, or a follower. Now these have varying levels of access to do with whether they can post or whether they can edit existing posts, or whether they can go in and make changes to the settings of the blog. There's information in this Learn More About roles if you do want to do that. However, what you probably want to do is post out invites to people as followers. So if you select this follower option, you can add in some information there. What the follower means is that the person who you send this invitation to will be sent an email, they'll be asked to follow your blog, and then they'll have access, whether it's private or not visible online or not, then they'll be able to go in and comment on your blog in there and read your blog. Okay, so once you're ready, you can click send invitation, and it will send out the invitation there. And if you remember from one of the previous videos, if I just click on my sites, you'll remember that we have the reader and the notifications. When a peer or another WordPress user accepts the invitation to follow, changes that you make to your blog will pop up in the notifications here. And if they want to just view your blog, they can click on reader, and that will make posts from the blogs appear amalgamated into one stream on this page. Okay, so that's how we manage our visibility for our site, and also how we add in people who will be able to comment to the site regardless of the visibility and privacy settings, but also how we send out invitations to people as well. The next thing we want to do as we're setting up our WordPress blog is to define what are called categories. Now, to give a bit of context to this, when we're writing our blog, for those that aren't particularly familiar with blogging, we're not creating a website as such. We don't have a static set of pages which we set up, which people can work their way through. What will happen is that, almost like writing a diary, we make a post to our blog, and it's automatically added in as a page at the top of the blog. Okay, so it posts as the latest post when we add something. Now, this is great because it's very easy to add new blog posts and for people to view these, and it creates this live page where as we add in content, it organizes it for us. However, what it does mean is that it can be quite restricting in being able to actually sort the blog posts that we're making. So if, for example, you're posting about your learning and teaching and higher education module and your flexible distance and online learning module within the same blog, which you will do, being able to define between those two subjects within the same blog and separate them can be quite challenging. Now, this is where what's called categories come in. Okay, so what we can do is, if we have a diary which has a whole series of pages, and we're writing about both our learning, teaching and higher education subject and our flexible distance and online learning subject, and they're all mixed up together, by assigning categories to these two subjects, we can separate them out and make it much more viewable by the reader of the blog. Now, I'll explain this as we work through. It can be a tricky concept to get your head around when you first start off, but it's very important to get this set up quite early and assign categories to your blog posts for the sake of being able to navigate the blog at a later date. So from this page, I've clicked on my sites and I'm back onto our page with the various stats and things. I want to click on the WP admin page, and that takes us out to our blog with our administrative points down the side. Now, we have these options for making posts, media, links, pages, and if I hover over them, there's actually some pop-out menus. And if I hover over posts, we can see there's an option for categories. So I'm just going to click on categories, and what you'll see is I've actually already got some categories set up. Now, if I want to add a new category, I can do that here. So I might just call this, I'm quite into cooking, so I'm going to call this Callum's Cooking Posts. I have the option to add this under what's called a parent, which is if you want to cluster categories together within a menu. However, we don't need to do that. What we shall do is we'll simply call this Callum's Cooking Posts and add a new category. And you can see that that is now added here. So this is a list of the categories that I have within my blog. Now, when we write a blog post, which I shall show you just now, there is a more detailed video later in this package, learning package, about making posts. But if I want to add a new post, I can click on Add New from the side menu here. Give it a title. I might call this My First Cooking Post. And I might put some text about cooking. When I scroll down the page, you'll see there is the option on the side here to add this post to a category. So I can tick the box here for Callum's Cooking Posts. And now that I'm finished, I have some options which I'll go into later on. I'm going to click Publish, and this will now post my blog post called My First Cooking Post. In the next stage of this learning package, I'm going to look at menus. However, to show you the menu that we have at the moment, you'll see that we have Home, About, Learning and Teaching in Higher Education, Assessment, Feedback for Learning, Flexible Distance and Online Learning. What I will do in the next stage is I shall add in this category as an option on my menu. And what that will mean is that every time I write a blog post, you can see that these are mixed up together. So this is my first PGCAP post, and this is actually within the Learning and Teaching in Higher Education page. So if I click on this page, it displays just this blog post. However, when I go back to my main blog, they're all mixed up together again. What I want is another button here, which if I click on it, will show only my cooking posts. And that's what will happen in the next video when I explain menus. Now that we've got our categories set up, what we need to do is display a menu. Now, the menus will change a bit depending on the theme, which we'll look in the next video, and how we apply the menu to the theme, which I'll show you in the next video. But what we need to do is first of all set up the structure of this menu that we can apply. Okay, so essentially what we've done so far is we've looked at the categories and how we assign a category to a blog post. What we now want to be able to do is set up a menu so that the viewer or the reader of our blog can come on and select a category and view the posts which have had that category assigned to them. So to do this, there's a couple of different places you can go into. There's menus option on this general menu on the My Sites page. However, I find it easier to work if I click on WP Admin and get onto the admin page of the blog, and then under Appearance we have the option for menus. So I'm just going to click on menus, and it takes us to this page. Now, I have a menu set up already, which I'll use to demonstrate. However, if you want to set up your first menu, you simply click on Create a New Menu. You can then give it a name, which I'll perhaps call Menu 2. Click Create Menu. And there we have our new menu. Now, when you want to add content onto your menu, you do this from the list on the right hand side. So you have pages, posts, custom links, categories and format. The two things that you're going to want to add in are pages, which we haven't covered yet but we will come round to, and categories, which I'll show you how to add just now. So if I look at my categories, I can click View All, and all that I need to do is to tick the categories that I want to display in my menu. So I'm just going to click Add to Menu. And this will add these in. Now, regardless of the theme that I add, so the theme is how we dress up the site, regardless of the theme, if I select to display Menu 2, these options will appear within it, and they will format and display in a way which is clear to the user. Likewise, if I want to add pages, click on View All, and I can add these to my menu as well. And from here, I can then look at restructuring these and placing them underneath each other as well. If you create a sub-item, this creates a kind of shorter menu that will pop out from within there. So once I've created my menu, I can click Save Menu. And that's my menu created. So I have menu 2 here. Now, if I look at menu 1, which is my menu I already have set up, you can see this has very similar points on it. But this is the menu that we saw when we looked at our site or looked at the site earlier on. So if I look at here about Home, About, Learning and Teaching Higher Education, Assessment Feedback, Flexible Distance Online Learning. If I view the site, you can see that that appears at the top of the page here. If I want to edit that menu, I'm going to Menus from my drop down here, and in menu 1, if I want to add in my cooking category, I can go in and View All, select Callum's Cooking Posts, and add that to my menu, and then click Save. And now what will happen is when I go into my site, and View Site, we can see that the cooking post has been added to this menu here. So if someone comes on and they don't want to read about all of my teaching and learning PGCAP posts, they just want to find out my cooking posts, they can click Callum's Cooking Posts, and that will whittle that down and they'll only be able to see those. Okay, so that's how we set up our basic menu there. This menu is being styled and formatted based on what's called the theme, which is what I'll look at in the next video. But regardless of the theme that we have on, if we assign menu 1 to that theme, that will display, and these will change in just that same way. So we've now got our account and our WordPress blog set up. We have then gone and we've set up our security settings, and we began to set categories which we can assign our blog posts to. We've then assigned those categories into menus, so that essentially when someone looks at our blog, they can see a menu with the different categories of our blog posts, and they can select to filter them down, if you like, so that if they just want to read about learning and teaching in higher education, they can do that. The next step is to assign a theme to your blog. Now, there will be a default theme set to your blog, but people like to personalize these things. So I'll now show you how you can go and set the theme on your blog. So again, there is the option to look at the themes here. I find it's a bit clearer if we go to WP Admin and we get our menu down the side here. This is the menu that I find myself using most as a WordPress user, so I always go back to this, but there are other options for getting into there you'll find. So the first thing we want to do is on this dashboard menu on the side, hover over Appearance and select Themes. And this will take us through into a themes page. Now, if we scroll down here, you can see that all the themes look slightly different. There's different bits of content put into there. The first thing that I will say is that some themes are very visual and use a lot of images and sort of hide the text away. Other themes present text very clearly. The themes will look nice. However, I would encourage you to use one of the more text-focused themes to make it easier for your viewers to read this, in particular the PGCAP tutors, so that they can get in there and they can read the content you're putting on there. So, whereas you might see something like this Blask content, or this Blask theme here, we can see if I preview this, this isn't overly clear when we first go in and look at that. However, something like Baskerville I find is a bit clearer. So do test this and just ask yourself how visible is this theme before permanently applying the theme to your blog. Now the other thing to note is that, as we mentioned when we were first setting up this blog, there is a paid version of WordPress available on the site, and you can also buy themes from here as well. So there are some which are free and some which are premium, so this one would be £59 to purchase that. That's been designed by a company and is sold through WordPress. If you just want to view free themes, there is an option to filter here. So we can just click free, and that will take out all the paid options here, and we can see the ones we don't need to pay for. So if I scroll down, we can now view the different themes that are available. Now, you will see that there are images which have been added in to these various themes as well. These will be editable once you set the theme onto your blog. But if you scroll down and you see something that you quite like, it might be this very simple pen scratch. There are two options. One is to activate and one is to preview. Activate will set the theme to your live blog, and it will immediately become visible. Now you can go back and change that afterwards. It doesn't have any kind of time limit set to it where you have to have it set against your blog. However, if you want to have a look at what your blog will look like without setting this to against the blog, then clicking preview will bring up a version of your blog with that theme set against it. So I can see there it's changed the theme of my blog. Likewise, if I scroll down further, there's this 2013 option. I can click preview, and you will see that again, same blog content, different look, different theme which is set against that. Now, once I find a theme which I like, the first thing I want to do before saving and activating this is to set a menu against it. So you'll remember in the last video we talked about menus, and I had my menu across the top. This new theme will set a default menu against that. However, I can change that. So if I click on navigation on the side here, I can select the menu which I want to have on my blog. Now this is very important. If you are changing the theme, do set the navigation menu so that we can access the various pages on your blog and filter them down. Otherwise, there is a habit of pages disappearing off into blogs and we can't access them and find them, which can be a barrier to both peers reviewing your blog and for the tutor on your module being able to go in and read and give you feedback on your blog. So just to cover that, because it's so important again, on the side here we have navigation, and then you want to select the menu which you're using. Now if you have a couple of menus you can change them, but I'm just going to set that to menu 1, and then I'm going to click save and activate. So you might remember there was a black and white picture across the top of my blog previously. Now that will have changed now. So now we can see this is my live blog, and it has changed the theme there. Now I've got my menu set against it, and there's some of my posts. If I want to click on just my cooking posts, I can see how that looks as well. But the theme generally has changed. So that's how we assign themes. So the key things to remember there are that you want to review the theme that you're going to use, even after you've applied it, to make sure that it is navigable and is suitable to the content that you're posting. Also be aware that some of the themes are paid for, so you can filter down into the free themes, as I showed. And the very important part is when you're applying a new theme, within the preview, do set the navigation to the menu so that appears here. Otherwise it will default to the theme's default menu, and that will remove a lot of the buttons that you have here. In this video, we're going to look at how we can create a page in our WordPress blog. Now, to begin with, there is a very subtle difference between a page and a post, but it's quite important that you use these different tools for the different tasks that you need to do within WordPress. So the difference is a page is static. A page doesn't change. And a page, it can't have a date associated with it or anything. It's something that you write in and it doesn't change at all. So for example, this about page that I've got here just has some text on it, and that wouldn't change through the lifetime of the WordPress unless I go in and edit that page directly. Now the difference between that and a post is a lot more like a diary, a diary article. So if we look at learning and teaching in higher education, then we can see that here I have made a post, my first PGCAP post, and this has a date of August 17th attached to it, and I can see that I've put it into a category. These are things I can't do with a page on my WordPress blog. So the essence of a blog is that when you write posts, they can be organised by the date and by the category that we're placing them into. This is what happens with posts, however, it can't happen with a page, so a page stays static. Okay, I hope that that's clarified a bit. Repeated myself a couple of times there, but it's very important to clarify this at the beginning. So we're going to look at how we set up a page in this video, and this page might be, or the page tool might be used for doing things like your About Me page, or the page where you have to put in your declaration for assessment. So to create a page, what we do is go to My Sites, and we will quite simply click on Pages. And you can see there's an add button there. So if I click on add button, then we just get straight into the new page tool. Okay. I'm just going to jump back just now and show you another part of this, which is if I go into this menu and then click on pages instead of add, then I'm able to see a list of my pages here as well. Okay, so I can see that I've already got this about page and I can edit this here. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to add a new page, do that at the side here, or I can click add new here. And it gives me an interface which is very similar to that which you would use to post as well. So if I'm adding a new page, I might want to call it my declaration. And then I can put my text in. So the title of the page, this is what appears on the menu when you add it into your menu. And then I can put, this is my assessment declaration. And if you are familiar with making a post to WordPress, you'll see that there are none of the category options down here. On the right hand side, we have some very basic options here regarding saving a draft, previewing and publishing. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click publish, and then if I go back into view my site, then you'll see that this has added the declaration here. So if I click on declaration, you can see that it's got my title and it says this is my assessment declaration, the text that I put in there. So quite a basic tool, as I say, is for adding static information that you don't want to go anywhere, you don't want to change. Okay, so that's the declaration and your About Me page as well. Now if I want to edit that page, or any page, then I go to My Sites, I click on Pages, and I would just go back in to where it says About or Declaration, and I've got this option to edit or quick edit. If I click on Edit, I get back to exactly the same page that I had before, and I can go in and I can maybe make some text formatting changes, and then click Update, and that will change the page straight away. If I go back to View Site and click on Declaration, you can see that's changed there. Similarly, if it's a more complex page and I just want to do a quick edit, I can just click on Quick Edit, and this allows me to do things like changing the title of the page and also options around the menu as well. Okay, but the most likely edit that you want to make is just by going straight into the pages and clicking Edit. Okay, in contrast to that, in the next chapter we'll look at how we make a post and edit a post. In this chapter we'll look at how we make posts to our WordPress blog. Now, similarly to the previous chapter where we looked at making pages, I'll just quickly explain the difference between a page and a post, hopefully to clarify the subtle difference there is between the two. Now, a page, which we set up in the last chapter, is a static part of your WordPress blog. So for example, if I click on About, then we can see that this is just a page within the menu and it just has some text on it, and it's a fairly basic part of the WordPress blog comparatively to the post. And if we click on Declaration, you can see again this is just some text in a page. You can add other bits into a page. However, the main difference between a page and a post is that when we make a page, we then have to attach it to our menu. However, when we make a post, we can tag it with certain details, such as the category, and it will organize the posts, or the WordPress blog will organize the posts into a chronological order, and we can filter them by those categories as well. So while my post is only linked, or while my page, sorry, is only linked in the menu here, and it's not popping up elsewhere, if I look at the home page to my blog, I can see all of my blog posts appearing in order. And also, if I cut down into these categories, I can see just the posts, but again these will appear in a chronological order based on date. So that's the main difference between pages and posts. Pages you want to use for things like putting up your declaration, for your assessment on your blog. Your posts are what you want to use for everything else. So if, for example, you are studying the Flexible Distance and Online Learning module, your ongoing reflective blog you will make posts to, and that will mean that we can filter these out by the Flexible Distance and Online Learning category. So to make a post, there are a couple of different options that we have. We have this icon which is like a pen with a plus sign, which if I click on that, that takes us through to one of these blue pages where I can write in the title and content of my blog. And when you get to these blue pages, these are still part of your blog's administrative pages, but they're slightly more basic. I prefer the option that we have in this drop down menu, where if we hover over my sites and click on blog posts, I can click on add a blog post, and that will take me back to that page. Or, and here's my hot tip, if I click on blog posts, it takes me to a list of my posts which I've made so far, and from here I can also click add new. Now if I click add new on this page, I get a bit more of a feature rich option to make my post. So here I might just call this will be the title, and it's what will appear at the top of my post. So I might call this my first FDOL post, and then I would add my text in here. So this is my first blog post for the FDOL module. And when you're making these posts and when you're editing, you can do things like editing the format, you can put things into quotations, you can bullet point them, etc. So there's a few basic things that you can do with the text there. There is a video on, I think it's in the next chapter, where we'll look at how you can insert bits of multimedia and web links and things as well. We'll not cover that at the moment, and we'll focus more on the functionality of the post itself. So we've got our text in there. If we look, I'm going to leave these publishing options and come back to them. If we scroll down this side here, we've got some of the information that we can attach to our blog post, which allows us to, as I say, filter. So the first one we have is formatting. You probably won't find yourself using formatting that much during your PGCAP. But if, for example, you were posting about different formats, so if you were sharing just images, or if you were putting up some quotes, or if you were doing a video blog, for example, you could set the different posts you're making by being a video, or a quote, or a series of links, and this will allow us to filter down, so we could have a menu option which is just video posts. The option that we're looking for really is the categories option down here. So as I said, this is my first FDOL post. So what I can do is I can go into my categories, and tick flexible distance and online learning, which I set up in the previous video, and this will then attach this post to the FDOL category, and when we click on FDOL in the menu, this will display automatically for us. Now if I wanted to appear in more than one category, I can tick more than one category, and that means that when if I was to click on assessment and feedback for learning, this post would appear in assessment and feedback for learning, but also if I click on flexible distance and online learning, this post would appear there as well. And if I was to go back in and edit, it would update in both areas, because essentially it would link to the same post which we've made. Now back up at the top here, I've got my publish options. So there's a couple of options I have. I can, if I want to just get rid of this, move to the trash. I can save a draft and come back and edit again later. I can preview what this will look like on my blog. So if I click preview just now, it opens up a new tab for me and I can see what this would look like. Now this isn't live yet, the public can't see this. This is just an option for me to see how this will look. If I go back into my option to write the post now, I've got my visibility options. Just to go back, I've got my publish button, which I'll click last. So I can see here the status of this. It's a draft at the moment. I've got my visibility options, which if I click edit, brings up this option where I can add a password to view this blog post, or I can set it as private and then share with specific people that I add in my security settings. I'm going to keep this as public. There's then also the option to publish immediately or to set a date against this. So if I didn't want this to publish until maybe next Wednesday, I can click edit, work out the date of next Wednesday, and that will be from now, trying to do the maths in my head, 29th. So I could set that, click OK, and that would withhold the blog post. I can go back in and edit this, but it would withhold the blog post until next Wednesday, then publish then. I'll just cancel that for now. So when I'm ready, I've set all my details, I've added my categories, I've written my text, I just click publish. And dependent on these options I've set, this will publish the blog post immediately. So now I can see, if I go to my home page, just by clicking on the title of my blog here, then I can see that this is added in my new blog post at the top of this page, because it's the latest post that I've made. But also if I click on flexible distance and online learning, this has been added in here as well, so it can be filtered down and I can view these. Finally, if I want to go back in and edit that post, it's very simple. I can just hover over my sites, click on blog posts, and I can see the title of my blog posts, which are here. Now if I hover over the title of my blog post, I get the option to edit, view or trash. So if I want to just delete the post altogether, I click on trash. Quick edit gives me some options similar to with the page, where I can just quickly go in and edit, for example, the title. So if I just want to change that F to a capital, I can do that and then click update, and that will change automatically. Or if I want to edit the content of my post, I just click on edit and I get back into this same page, and here I can edit the content, but I can also edit some of the other publishing settings and the categories as well. Okay, so that's how we write our basic blog post. In the next chapter I'll explain a bit about how we can embed things like multimedia and web links. Now in your posts, we've so far looked at how you can insert text and how you can format this text with bold, italics, bullet points. However, it's likely that you want to be more creative than that in your posts. You'll want to add in, for example, images, video, links to other articles on the web, and perhaps even some interactive elements. Now in this video chapter, we'll look at some of the tools that are available when you're making a new post. These are also available as a page for when you're making a page, by the way. We'll look at when you're making a new post, how you can add in some of these extra elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new post. So I'll go to my sites and I'm going to click on blog posts. Now I can click on add. I'll just quickly do this to demonstrate. Now when I get in here, there's a slightly more basic menu that I have. So you can still do some of the things we're going to talk about in here. However, I do find personally that the options I have when I'm making a post, when I do it through the My Sites menu, is a bit more, there's more options there. So I'm going to go to My Sites from my blog post and click on blog posts. And that gets me to my list where I can edit my previous posts or add new posts. So I'm going to go and click Add New, and this gets me onto this page which is more feature rich. So I'm going to call this my multimedia post, and I'll do my usual bits, remembering to set my category. So I'm going to make this flexible distance and online learning. I'm happy with the publish settings that are here, so I'm going to get on with writing my blog post. So the first thing I might want to do is to add a link. So if I wanted to add a link, then what I might do is add some text. So I might say, I work at the University of Salford, and it might be that I want to make the University of Salford a link to our university website. What I would do for that is highlight the text, and then you'll see here there's a little icon that looks like a chain link. This is a sort of a global icon for adding hyperlinks to text. So I click on this chain link, it asks me to enter the text, so I can, it's actually picked up that already. I can add in the HTTP, the full address that you would have in the address bar at the top of your browser. I then have this option to open a link in a new window. Now, I personally would recommend ticking this box, because what it means is that if someone is reading your blog and they click on the link, it will open up in a new window. They can read that and close the window and then get back straight to your blog immediately. So I would recommend ticking this box, otherwise it leads people away from your WordPress blog and they have to find it again. So if I click Add Link, you can then see that this has been highlighted red, and if I roll over, it gets underlined. So that is now a hyperlink. Although I can't click on that here, or if I click on it, it just shows me the address. When I publish, that will become a live link that someone can simply click on, and it will open up a new window with the website on. Now, the next thing that you'll probably want to do is to add an image. So I might type, this is an image. And what I'm then going to do is I'm going to look at these buttons at the top of the page. Now, the main one that I'm interested in is this Add Media button. If I click Add Media, then I have the option to upload files, or I've got my media library. Now, in my media library, there's a few images that I've used in previous blogs, which I can select and use again if I want to. However, it's most likely you want to upload something from your desktop. So we've got Upload Files, and what we can do is click Select Files. And from our desktop, if we scroll down, I've got some images here, and I'll just click Open once I've selected my image. And when the image appears within this media library, that means it's been uploaded into WordPress, and we can now embed it within our post, and then when people look at it online, it will be stored there and they can view that. So if I don't want to select that, I can click off there, but if I click on the image, it gives me a tick. I can see there's some details at the side here about the image, and I just click Insert into Post. Okay, and that's inserted my image there for me. I can then do things like changing the alignment. I can drag it to be bigger if I want it to be. I can do some little bits of editing there to sort that out. Okay, so that is how I get an image into my blog post. The next thing that I might want to do is to add a video. So if I want to add a video, I will just put, this is a great video. It might be that you're adding videos to talk about or set context within your blog posts. Again, I want to click Add Media. Now, it is possible, if you want to upload a file from your desktop and place into your WordPress blog. However, what I would recommend is to insert from YouTube. Okay, so if you see a video on YouTube and you want to discuss that, then find that from YouTube. Now, WordPress has a really handy tool built into it where we can search YouTube from directly within WordPress. We don't need to find it and copy links and things. So one of my favorite videos on YouTube is a video by Ken Robinson. It's one of his TED Talks. So if I search for Ken Robinson, that then finds all of the videos with Ken Robinson in it, which are available on YouTube at the moment. So I'm just going to select one of these videos. Again, it gives a blue tick, very similar to with the image, and I'll just click insert. Now you'll see that that has added the link to or the web address of the YouTube video to my blog. However, when we publish our blog, that will actually embed the video within the post. Okay, and we'll see that in just a second when I do publish. Now, web links, images and videos are the main things that you'll probably want to add in to your blog posts. However, just to show you at the moment some of the other options that we have here, I'll just call this other options. If I go back into add media and select insert tweet, then what I can do is I can start to look for various tweets from Twitter to discuss. So it might be that if we've been doing an activity on Twitter, you want to take a particular tweet and embed that. So we can go in and start to pick these up. So here there are some tweets relating to me, which I can select. So I've just looked for my username there, and then it's brought up a couple of tweets from me. And if I want to look at more, I can click load more and it will bring up more of them. Or I can look for a hashtag, so I might look for hashtag PGCAP FDOL. And there's nothing there at the moment for that one. I'll go back to looking for myself. So if I tick that tweet and then click insert tweet, what that will do is it will embed the tweet into the page as well. So again, it's added the hyperlink at the moment, or the address, but that will embed in the WordPress blog post when I publish it. So we've got those options. A couple of final options which you can use, and I would use these at your... be careful when you're using these options is what I'm looking to say. There's some interactive options that we can use. So we have the option to add a poll. So if we click add poll, what this does is it links to a tool called Poll Daddy. Now if you're not familiar with Poll Daddy, you can have a chat with your module leader or with myself or with a member of the digital skills team to discuss. But what this will allow you to do is to just run a quick poll embedded directly into your blog post. I'm not going to go too far into that at the moment. And you can also add a contact form. So if you want to request information from people, here they've got the examples of the name, email address, website and a comment, then you can add that in and then it will email out people's responses to that directly to you. Okay, so you can build a form within a WordPress post or a page. So two more advanced tools there. Be careful when you are using them. And if you do have any questions about them, you can contact myself or Digital Skills team. So I've got my multimedia embedded within here. We've looked at some of the options which are there. I'm now just going to click publish. And now that I've published this page, you'll be able to see that I've got my image inserted in. However, I also have my video, which will play live from YouTube directly through my blog post, so it doesn't take people off into YouTube and take them away from my blog. And also, I've got this tweet embedded directly in my post as well. And if people want to click on the links which are available within here, or go and look at the user which has made the post, then they can do that. It's all very interactive still. Okay, so that's how we add multimedia. The final thing that you'll want to do when you're writing your blog posts is to comment on your peers' blogs as well. In some situations, there will be activities where you have to do that. So in the next chapter, we'll look at how we post to other people's blogs.